Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Let's talk about a spouse benefit that is often not even in anyone's awareness. And sadly, situations happen to where veterans don't even know what we have available to us. And then when the time comes to pass on benefits to a surviving spouse, they have zero clue what's available. So we need to do a better job of letting our spouses know what kind of benefits are out there, and that's why I'm doing this video. So this video is specific to survivors' pension, and I wanted to share it with you here today. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. The two asks, look, hit the video, thumbs up, and let the video run. Those two things help to put this into the hands of many, which then can utilize this when the time comes. So important information. And look, if you want to support the channel in other ways, please consider being a member. I'll put a link on how to do that in the description and probably in a comment maybe, just to get that information out there. Or you can go to the homepage and you'll see different kind of tabs, videos and shorts and lives and so forth. And as you go on, you'll get to a point to where it says members or membership, and you can click on that. All right, so let's jump into this. Survivor's pension. A VA survivor's pension offers monthly payments to qualified surviving spouses and unmarried dependent children of wartime veterans who meet certain income and net worth limits set by Congress. Find out if you qualify and how to apply. There's more information here. I'm going to jump into it. The bottom line is look, this is not you're not going to get a lot of money out of this, but for those that are in a very tight situation, this type of a benefit can really be a godsend. So I like to talk about pension, VA pension, either for a veteran or for a surviving spouse, as a low and no income safety net program. That's what this is. So you got to look at it through that mindset, and it may make sense for you. So I will throw in a little caveat here that if you are a surviving spouse, dependency indemnity compensation is absolutely the preferred benefit for you. However, if you don't qualify for dependency indemnity compensation for some reason, then this could be an alternative depending on your financial situation. Now let's dive into it and give you some of the bells and whistles here on what needs to happen to qualify, what it looks like, and how much you can receive. So at least one of these must be true, and we're going to jump into this. It says, am I eligible for a surviving pension as a surviving spouse? You may be eligible for this benefit if you haven't remarried after the veteran's death, and if the deceased veteran didn't receive a dishonorable discharge and their service meets at least one of these requirements. So this is about the veteran who passed away. So in order to be a surviving spouse, your veteran spouse would have had to have passed away, right? So that's where we're at with that. And for the veteran who passed away, one of these must be true. The veteran entered active duty on or before September 7th, 1980, and served at least 90 days on active military service with at least 1 day during a covered wartime period. This does not mean that they were a combat veteran and served in theater shooting at people, right? What this means is that they served in the military in an active duty kind of way for at least 1 day during a recognized period. They could have been in San Diego, California for that 1 day. Doesn't matter, right? So moving on, the other option is if the veteran entered active duty service after September 7th, 1980 and served at least 24 months or the full period for which they were called or ordered to active duty, with some exceptions, with at least, again, 1 day during a covered wartime period. The last one here is the veteran was an officer and started on active duty after October 16th, 1981, and hadn't previously served on active duty for at least 24 months. All right, so those are the veteran qualifiers there, and I can already imagine some people are like, well, I know they serve, but that's about all I know. You yourself, as the surviving spouse, can order their military records, including a DD-214. Some of the things are redacted, but it really doesn't matter. What you need is you'll get. So you would utilize a form called SF, standard form, SF 180, SF 180, and you can order all of their records. There's different boxes you can check them all. Just order everything. The instructions are on there on where to mail that form, and you just fill it out the best you can with the information that you do have. You can also work with an accredited representative, which I highly suggest you do that. They can order the records for you as well, but you really want to work with them when it comes to filling out the application and so forth. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. All right, so let's jump back into this. This must be true of you, the surviving spouse. Your yearly family income and net worth meet certain limits set by Congress. Your net worth equals the value of everything you own, except your house, your car, and most of your home furnishings, minus the debt you owe. Moves on here to say, am I eligible for survivor pension as the child of a deceased wartime veteran? So this would be for the dependent children. You may be eligible for this benefit if you're unmarried and you meet at least one of these requirements. At least one of these must be true. You're under the age of 18, or you're under the age of 23 and attending a VA approved school, or you're unable to care for yourself due to a disability that happened before age 18. Okay, that's important, that before age 18 portion. Okay, what wartime periods does the VA recognize for pension benefits? Well, it's all of them, whether it's the World War II, the Korean conflict, Vietnam, a couple different aspects for in the Republic of Vietnam, and then outside the Republic of Vietnam, and obviously Gulf War, which is extremely broad. And then so you can apply 4 different ways. So one, with help from a trained professional, you can work with an accredited representative. I highly suggest. You can do it online. That's your number 2 option. You could do it number 3 option, which is by mail. Or number 4, you could do it in person by going to a VA regional office near you. My suggestion again is Google search accredited VA representative or veteran services, and then something should hopefully pop up near you. Call them and ask them if they're accredited with the VA, and then you can go from there. You can also look on the VA's website, accredited VA representatives. Should Google search a VA web page, should show up in a top list there. So here's an interesting thing. Spouses or dependent children, if qualified, you can file an intent to file just like a veteran does with our claims, right? So you can file an intent to file. That buys you a year's time frame for back pay as you're processing everything. So there's actually a question on here. Should you submit an intent to file? I'm going to tell you it's not required. You don't have to, but it's highly suggested. All right, so moving on, it says you may want to submit an intent to file form before you apply for survivor's pension benefits. This can give you the time you need to gather your evidence while avoiding a later potential start date, also called an effective date. When you notify us of your intent to file, you may be able to get retroactive payments that start at a point in the past. How long does it take for the VA to make a decision? It depends. We process survivor pension claims in the order we receive them unless a claim requires priority processing. So why would a claim require, they don't say it on here, but a couple reasons why a claim would require priority processing. Age, if you have some sort of an illness that's terminal, if you're at the risk of becoming homeless, those are things that you would want to notify the accredited representative you're working with so they can file priority processing paperwork for you, or you can do that yourself. You can contact the VA as well. Let's move over to the benefit rates. Current survivors' pension benefit rates. Learn about VA survivor pension benefit rates. If you qualify for this benefit as a surviving spouse or dependent child, will base your payment amount on the difference between your income for VA purposes and a limit that is set by Congress called the maximum annual pension rate, or MAPR. There's a couple bullet points here. Your income for VA purposes is how much you earn, including your salary, investments, and retirement payments, and any income you may have from your dependents. Some expenses, like non-reimbursable medical expenses, paid medical expenses not covered by your insurance provider, may reduce your income for VA purposes. So if you have income coming in of $1,200 a month, but you have $200 a month in paid medical expenses that you do not get covered by your insurance or reimbursed or anything like that, that may be deducted, leaving you with $1,000 per month. The name of this game is the lower amount of money that you make per month from things like salary or retirement payments, Social Security, that type of stuff. The lower that number is, the higher your VA pension can be. So that is the name of that game. Moving on, your MAPR, which is the maximum allowable pension rate, is the maximum amount of pension payable to a veteran, surviving spouse, or child. Your maximum allowable pension rate is based on how many dependents you have and whether you qualify for housebound or aid in attendance benefits. Maximum allowable pension rates are adjusted each year for the cost of living increases. You can find your current maximum allowable pension rate amount using the tables below. So there's an example here. You're a qualified surviving spouse with one dependent child. You also qualify for aid and attendance benefits. Your yearly income is $10,000 per year, right? Your maximum allowable pension rate is $21,166. Your yearly income of $10,000 is deducted from the $21,166. That leaves you with a VA pension of $11,166 per year. That equates to $930.50 paid each month. Okay. Moving on, what's the net worth limit to be eligible for survivor pension benefits? From December 1st, 2023 to November 30th, 2024, the net worth limit to be eligible for survivor benefits is $155,000, $155,356. On October 18th, 2018, the VA changed the way that they assess net worth to make the pension entitlement rules clearer. The net worth calculation includes your and your dependents' assets and income for VA purposes. When you apply for survivor pension benefits, you'll need to report all of these assets and income. Note, if your child's net worth is more than the net worth limit, we don't consider them to be a dependent when we determine your pension. Assets include fair market value of all real estate and personal property that you own, minus the amount of any mortgages you have. Real property means any land and buildings you may own. Your personal property assets may include these and other items: investments like stocks and bonds, antique furniture, boats. Assets do not include your primary residence. That's a big one. Assets do not include your primary residence. This is obviously the home where you live most of the time. Your car, basic home items like appliances that you wouldn't take with you if you were to move to a new house. So if you have a $7,000 stove in your house, well, maybe you'd want to take it, but most people leave the stove, so they wouldn't necessarily count that. Moving on, annual income for VA purposes. Annual income is the money earned in a year from a job or from retirement or annuity payments. Your annual income for VA purposes may include these and other kinds of income: salary or hourly pay, bonuses, commissions, overtime, tips. We may subtract certain expenses from your annual income when we assess your income for VA purposes and net worth. We call these applicable deductible expenses. They include educational expenses and medical expenses you're not reimbursed for. An example of net worth and eligibility. Okay, if you had $121,000 in assets and $14,000 in annual income for VA purposes, then your net worth would be $135,000. So they add the two things together, in annual income and your assets. This is less than the net worth limit of $155,356, so you would be eligible for survivor pension benefits. Let's see. Let's move on. I want to get down here to a little bit of the numbers for you before I close this out. The maximum annual pension rate based on the cost of living increase that went into effect December 1st, 2023, you are looking at, if you have one dependent child and you do not qualify for housebound or aid and attendance benefits, your maximum allowable pension rate is $14,529 per year. Remember that any income, any provable income, right? Social Security, a small paycheck, side jobs that you're getting a W-2 for or a 1099, any provable income coming in needs to be declared and would be subtracted on an annual basis from that amount. So if you bring in $4,529 in a year, then you would get $10,000 for your pension. I just want to remind you that the maximum allowable is the total and based on if you make $0, right? So if you have $0, you can get $14,529. All right, moving on. If you have one dependent child and you qualify for housebound benefits, you go up to $16,989. If you have one dependent child and you qualify for aid and attendance benefits, you're looking at $21,166. If you have one dependent child and you qualify for aid and attendance benefits and you're the surviving spouse of a veteran who served, well, that's probably not going to happen. And you're the surviving spouse of a veteran who served in the Spanish-American War. Sure. Okay, we'll move on from that. Let's see. There's a couple notations here, and let's see if there's anything. If you have more than one child, you add $2,831 to your maximum allowable pension rate for each additional child. If you have a child who works, you may exclude their wages up to $14,600. If you have medical expenses, you may deduct only the amount that's above 5% of your maximum allowable pension rate, $726 for a surviving spouse with one dependent. If you're a qualified spouse, if you qualified for qualified surviving spouses with no dependents, okay, what does that look like? If you do not qualify for housebound or aid in attendance, you're looking at $11,102 per year. If you have no dependents and you qualify for housebound benefits, you're looking at $13,568. If you have no dependents and you qualify for aid and attendance benefits, you're looking at $17,743. So that is it in a nutshell. Should you have any other questions, please reach out to the VA, have a conversation with them, reach out to an accredited representative, and ask them for any assistance with putting something like this together as far as the application is concerned. There's a lot of numbers and stuff, and I always think that having a second set of eyes is probably a good thing. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.